Hi, we're going to try something different. I prefer to write to do my blogging, but there's just not enough time. Probably takes me at least 5 times of corrections to get 60% of my typos anyway. So hopefully doing a little bit of video blogging or vlogging will help me stay a little bit caught up. The other thing is I want to talk about an event here that really illustrates why I love Emmaus Ministries. Right now I'm in the Cayo community. The cross that you see on the wall was painted by a former Cayo member, and not without controversy. Over and over again, the question is whether it stays or whether it leaves. The argument for it staying is that it's certainly a marker of territory. You know that you're in a different and special place. And the reason for it leaving is because it's a big brown cross that sometimes clashes with everything else. Nevertheless, it helps me know that this is where I'm at. This past week we had a memorial service. One of our guys died of something unrelated to our ministry. He had a cancer. He had a funeral with his family, which was extremely well attended. He was certainly a success story. He had a life of the street life, of the night life, of really bad choices, and all the related problems with the police and being beat up and all the things that you can imagine that go along with that. But he also slowly became involved with the Emmaus Ministries and turned his life around. And even prior to a major changing in his life, he certainly had all these qualities that made him a very lovable person who was sought out by everybody else. Now, clearly that's not true for all of our guys, but it was true for him. So he had his funeral service that was well attended, and members of Emmaus went to that, and the family was glad to have them there, viewed as additional family. The noises you're hearing are the sounds of street life right outside these windows. Anyway, we had our memorial service, and it was at our chapel downstairs, and I didn't know what to expect. I expected it to be a tiny thing, but the entire chapel filled up. There are some of our guys there. There are obviously all the Emmaus Ministry staff members and Cayo members, but there were also former interns, former volunteers, current volunteers, board members, and just people who knew our guy from a variety of different settings. So it really stressed to me the long-term commitment Emmaus makes with its guys and the transforming effect that the guys have on the members of Emmaus Ministry. It started with music in the background, Chariots of Fire, because that was one of the favorite things that this guy liked to play on the piano. There was a welcoming, and then we all sang Amazing Grace, every single verse, because our guy had been long-winded, so we were matching that. There was a scripture reading, then a song, there's a lifting of the hands, words of comfort, and then reflection. And it was amazing to hear all the different people who talked, including one of the guys who talked about how bad his life was until this guy introduced him to Emmaus. And the guy who was talking is very much a success story. Then another song, and then a closing with the Lord's Prayer. Afterwards, people stayed for refreshments. There was a bucket of fried chicken because this guy also loved to eat. And people stayed for a long, long time. It was joyous. It was serious. When we met other guys on the street throughout the week, they had talked about wanting to come or talked about why they couldn't come, but it was part of the street culture as well. And so I would say that really, to me, struck me about what I like about Emmaus. That their prison ministry has greatly increased, that they visit prisons all over Illinois, that they're here for the long term, that their commitment to our guys is unconditional. If the guys want to change, that's great. We're here to help them. If they don't want to change, we're here to walk with them, to be with them. So that was probably the highlight of this week, in a week that's had more training. I continue to go out and outreach. I will be doing that in an hour and a half. Outreach is typically from 10:30 at night to 3 in the morning. I did that twice last week, plus an immersion night. I continue to work in the ministry center. We're also doing clerical work. There's additional assignments that we have. I'll be part of a group of all of us actually attending a day of sexual healing, or a conference on sexual healing, which is the small church that sponsors a number of people for 3 days in this powerful conference. The people who lead this are doing this all over the world, and yet they're a very small congregation of about 65 people. And so I'll be attending that. It'll be this African American charismatic church, so that'll be a very different experience for me. This weekend, 2 of our interns are taking the guys to a Mennonite retreat in a farm. That'll be great for them. One of our interns is taking a leadership role in our contribution to the Walk for AIDS. And there's a conference going on this weekend that 3 of our workers will be presenting at. And so there's lots and lots of activities. There's nothing predictable or normal about our schedule here. It's simply a matter of being servants, being flexible, adaptive, and open. So that's it for now. Talk to you later. Peace.